my first piece of advice is always have a friend write your bio. So that's what I did. I had a dear friend write the bio because otherwise, when we read it, it was very unexciting. So that's a little bit more exciting even than I know. So thank you for letting me come play with you for a few hours. Well, sorry, a few minutes. It won't be a few hours. I'm hoping to learn from you in this process as well. How many of you know what a Chamber of Commerce is? Have you ever really heard of one? Yeah. What would you, do you want to tell us?
It's kind of like a group that helps decide things.
Okay.
From what I can tell, like you have different chamber conferences for different pieces inside a state, and they just kind of help organize things and make sure.
That's pretty dang good.
If you want to know anything, that's where you look. The first place you look when you go to a new town, Chamber of Commerce.
So if you want to know anything, that's the first place you look. And thank you for that. Thank you both. So a Chamber of Commerce is an association of businesses. And for some smaller towns, just exactly what you said a minute ago, it is a point of interest. It's a place where you can go and get directions to other places or great places to eat or places to do business. Our Chamber of Commerce is a statewide chamber, so we're capital city by name and statewide by our mission. There are 70 chambers in the state of Utah, and the Salt Lake Chamber houses the State Chamber Association. So we work to help all of those folks grow. So you've got chambers in Bernal, in St. George, and all these little places. And so they may have a staff member with one person or a part-time. We have about 55, 60, depending on the day, employees that work for us. So we're not a huge organization, but we do a lot. We're more regional in our efforts. We work on things that matter with our federal delegation, so with Senators Lee and Hatch, Congressman Bishop and Love and Stewart. We're working with them on a regular basis, as well as our local legislature and the local municipalities. So just tell you a few of those things. We're 130 years old. Last year we celebrated our 130th, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. We're the voice of business. Our mission is we stand as the voice of business, we champion community prosperity, and we support our members' success. So everything that we do every day, we don't build widgets. I don't have a device I can show you that we build. We're about helping businesses grow. So if you're a startup business, we have our Women's Business Center, and you can come in and brainstorm with them, men and women, about launching a new business, finding out financial opportunities. How many of you are entrepreneurs in like studying, or is that your efforts? Okay. So that would be a good place for you to research. The Women's Business Center, it's free resources for you as well. We do a lot of partnership with the Salt Lake Community College and the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Businesses with that group as well. If you are interested, if you have a business and you're wanting to come to Utah and you're worried about water issues, which is a big deal for a big land provider, we're working on, it's one of our top 10 priority buckets. So we work on issues. Every year we propose this to the legislature. And right now we're monitoring about 140 bills up on Capitol Hill. We have a team up there that are working on everything that you can imagine. There's actually an interesting bill up there right now by Senator Ann Milner, former president of Weber State University. And that bill is looking at how we can help build the future workforce by some of the choices you make in education and finding ways to reimburse your tuition. So that's an interesting one that's up there right now. So one quote that came from Natalie Gottner. Natalie is our chief economist. She runs the Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute. And she said this about chambers. Businesses never operate in isolation of government. So as a chamber, we must intersect with the public sector. We have a track record with the legislature, mayor of Salt Lake City and county, and every municipality in the state. So it's really, we are not a government entity. We are paid for by the member businesses, and we work for them. And the reason why the Salt Lake Chamber is who we are, it's because businesses have engaged and allow their employees to engage with us. So I want to tell you a couple of things about running a nonprofit. I've run two. My role is Chief Operating Officer. How many of you, as you've looked at your career, said, I want to be an operations officer? Oh, really? Good for you. I didn't. My major was business management. I really thought I'd go more the marketing slant. And as I got into business and as crises occurred, I found my skill set. and just grew into that business and that side of the business. And I've really enjoyed it. Telling you a little bit about a nonprofit, we are a 501c6. It's a not-for-profit versus a 501c3, which is more of a foundation. And we have those as well in our office. We have 501c3s and 501c6s. And we have members throughout the state in all 29 counties and actually in 18 other states. And they join us for a variety of reasons, some of the things that we do on a regular basis. When we talk about honoring our members, so recently we honored your president here, Denise Huftelin, as an Athena. So this is an Outstanding Achievement Award in November. And if you want to watch her speech, it's on YouTube. You can watch that at some time. She is amazing. How many of you have had the opportunity to meet her face to face? I hope you get to, because she's really an amazing leader. So those are kind of some of the events. We have an event called A Giant in Our City, where we honor an outstanding leader in our community and use that as an opportunity to inspire and broaden awareness of some of the things that we're doing. On some days, it's like this. Let me see if I can do this. Everyone's jealous because they think that's all we do is party plan and you're on the golf course. Now, these are the people that are having a good time, the people behind the scenes that have been there since 5 a.m., who are making taking the food around or getting everything set up is the team that I work with. So we're planning these opportunities. We do a lot of things that bring business leaders together. Our history book is called The Common Ground, and that's strategic and for a purpose because we are one place where competitors come together for a greater good, and they work on things for a greater good. So we build opportunities for folks to come together. Some days, it's like a few weeks ago, I got an early morning call from an employee that had jumped into the office early and to tell me that we had a little crisis. And this is the day the office flooded. We had water pouring down all parts of the office, that's not it, coming down the ceilings, and we had to move folks to other parts of the office. There's somebody that has to do that, and that happens to fall in my line of responsibility. So it's not the marketing team, it's not the sales team, this is the operations team. Our job is to make sure that when people come to work, they can work and be efficient. We're more like the center hub of the wheel, making sure that everybody has what they need to be successful, resolving issues in HR, et cetera. That's kind of more that piece of it. But I will tell you there's some days that are absolutely amazing and make it really, really fun to do what we do. Last year, we celebrated our 130th anniversary with a year-long activity. And in our research of our history, we wrote a history book. In our research of our history, we found that in 1909, our earlier organization, in a building just 2 blocks from us, had hidden a time capsule. And we had that great opportunity to, one, work with the building owner and see if they were okay with us digging into their building. We had to do it behind kind of covered tents so that people wouldn't be panicky and worrying about it or be interested or take anything from where we're going in. And so in 1909, this building, during the Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bailey Circus, you can see this is the original time capsule here. They posted or put in this time capsule. And it was of copper, so it used to be the copper color, but over time you can see what happened. And these are the contents that we found. In that, we had found a Bible, we found some documents, some issues that were going on at that time, some business cards. We really looked for stock options or bonds. There were nothing. But as we were planning to replace, these are some of the items that we decided to put back in. So our history book, some of the things that we were worried about this time, we really wanted more pictures. And that's one thing we really didn't have. You can find this all on our website at slchamber.com, 130th, if you're interested in looking at some of those materials. That was a really fun event. One of the things we did is we had each of our members write, those who wanted to, advice for the future. And since we were celebrating 130th, we said at 150, we suggested they would open it back up. So it went back into the building, and that was a fun event to be part of because it was a year-long planning a parade. It was engaging our members. Our members were so engaged with us. And we actually held our board retreat in the building where our original building for the chamber, and that was kind of fun too. So I think that was it on those. Some events, just last week we had our legislative reception, so we met with all the legislators, 104 of our legislators in the state, and business leaders. This was hosted up in the Capitol Rotunda. Have all of you had the opportunity up in the Rotunda? Mm-hmm. I would strongly suggest at some point during the session, we only have about a week and a half left, so if not this year, next, go walk that for that experience. Go sit in the gallery and listen to what's going on and understand how decisions are made for you, your future businesses, the future of your families. That's something to really take a look at. You can see another viewpoint there. This is an event we did last year, our Women in Business Conference for Dr. Huftelin. So we had about 900 people in this room, and it was a day-long Women on Business. And for those of you women in the room, that the seminars are all free. We do that in November. Think about that. Come and join us. Get a feel of the business community. We'd love to have you think about that. And there's President Huftelin right there. So some of the other things we do, because I mentioned we do a lot public policy work and a lot of government affairs work. Every year we take a delegation of business leaders to Washington, D.C. And we get to meet with a variety of leaders, from Speaker Ryan to our federal delegation to Arthur Brooks, a variety of folks that really give us some good insight on how we can make our state better. This was the delegation that went with us, and this is just another event. So we'll get back to that in a minute. So that's just a few of the things that we do. They're not always glamorous. Most of the day we're doing paperwork, putting things, this is just the reality check. I had a new employee come in to me and they said, well, you know, I thought this was going to be a lot more fun. I didn't realize I had to do this paperwork. Is there someone else that could do that? And I said, if you can find them, let me know, because I'll be happy to pass it along as well. But anyway, it's the one thing that I would say is, you know, Mark Twain quoted this quote: if you have to eat a frog, eat him first thing in the morning. And if you have to eat two, eat the biggest one first. And that's the advice I would give to anyone that works for me. Do the hard things first. Get them out of the way. Otherwise, all day long, you just keep doing this. You put them at the bottom. It keeps on coming back up. Get rid of it. Do the hard things first in all parts of your life, and it just takes tons of stress off of you. So if you have to eat a frog, eat them first thing in the morning. If you have to eat two, eat the biggest one first. So that's just a little piece of advice. Let's see, what else can I tell you? So a lot of what we do too is strategy and planning. I'm going to tell you an experience. Part of that whole planning, or the strategy and planning, managing for a crisis and managing in a crisis, is just some really good basis for anybody as you think about what you do. Because if you can be the resourceful one that folks go to, I mean, that's just one more skill set that you have. I'll just tell you about a situation. So it was a similar situation that I just showed you with President Huftelin. It was a few years ago. So this many people, about 900 people. Yeah, the event was planned for a Wednesday. On Monday morning, the person that was over events came into my office and put their head in their palms. And I said, what's going on? And they couldn't talk to me. They were sobbing. I said, what's going on? What's happening? And they said, I just got notice from the hotel. I misunderstood the date we had reserved for this event. So you've got 900 people coming. And the deal was this: the hotel had contacted us and said, are you loading in today? This was Monday. They thought it was Tuesday. We had it for Wednesday. So imagine that situation. Your reputation, your brand, all of those things are at risk. And you have a choice in my role as to what to do. What would you do? Tell me what you would do right away, and then I'll tell you what we did. What would you think? Go ahead.
I would call the hotel and see if they were available for Wednesday, and if we could maybe pay a little bit of a fee to have it bumped to Wednesday.
Okay.
I'd rather lose a little bit of money and keep the reputation for those 900 people who probably booked hotels, came into the city, and I would just lose a little bit of money on that.
That's a good one. That's good. Who else had some ideas? Yes.
I think you should always have a backup option.
Okay.
So if in the event something happened to the hotel itself, in this case you didn't have the right date, you have a separate hotel nearby, and you have transportation options for the people that are staying in that hotel, and a way to contact people when it closed.
Okay. Perfect. Great. That's great. Those are great suggestions. What else?
Based off that dining room, isn't that the Little America?
So this one is actually yes, it is the Little America.
Could you maybe see if the Grand America is available?
Okay.
Because they do work with each other, so if that's available, you can go there instead. Because that's not hard to say go to the Grand America, so Little America, they're right next to
Good point. Okay, so here's what happened. I knew we needed the bigger team to help us. So I called for an emergency meeting and had everybody join in my office in 15 minutes. So they all came in equipped. We laid out the plan. Not one person said, I can't believe you did that, you're so disorganized. Nobody said that, because everyone knew that someday that would be them. So they wanted to be supportive. And we quickly strategized about the options, and we talked about that, what other hotels could hold that amount, what other facilities in our community. And you're limited. You've got Little America, you've got Grand America, and sometimes the Marriott can hold about 900. So those were our options, and the Hilton could help us with if you set up the room. So we immediately deployed a team to call all the hotels. Now we have a reputation with all these hotels, and we try and stagger them so they all feel like we're using them, because they're members. And we're all about our members and helping them grow too and using their services. So we had a team deployed that way. We had another team deployed to look at our internal communications and external crisis communications to figure out how we would tell people what had happened. And then we had another team deployed to say what were our other options, working with the chair. And in fact, the chair at the time is Deborah Hoyt, that's going to speak to you in a couple of months. So you should ask her about that. She's with Dominion Questar. She was the chair. So imagine calling your volunteer chair that she's worked so hard with in the committee and telling them, you know, this is a risk. Then the other challenge is we were flying in speakers because we had all these breakout sessions. People who had planned their flights in. So if they'd planned those flights in, you have sponsors, everybody's looking at you. So we deployed everyone and agreed to huddle within an hour. Everyone came back. The Little America and Grand America could not accommodate us. We knew that we had to hold the event anyway somewhere, because if we tried to postpone it, it conflicted with other things that were going on in the community. We were able to find a hotel that had all their corporate management people in town, and they did miracles. They told us they could do the meal for us. We didn't have a choice in the meal. They would just do it. We said we didn't care. The Little America and Grand America had employees posted outside to tell people if they came where to go and to make sure they had signage everywhere. Our crisis communications team sent out an email to all of those people and said, here's what happened. Would you go to this hotel instead? We called our speakers. Everything worked out. Do you know how many people did not get that communication and went to the old hotel? Guess of 900. Four people. So that's pretty good. So that was a true test for us to see if we could make that. And what was amazing is we expected a lot of chatter during the event from people complaining. Instead, they were like, I cannot believe you did that. I cannot believe you did that. And that's part of that pre-planning that's so essential in everything that you do. And again, remember, this is our widget, what we do, producing those events and providing opportunities. So that was a big deal for us. Let's see. So the lesson I learned from there is trust but verify. So now I make sure I look at those contracts and double check. And so does that team as well. You do it once, you make a mistake once, we all make them. So how do you learn from them? One mistake does not define any one of us, and I hope that each one of you will think about that. It's a mistake, fix it. Be a problem solver in any environment that you're in. And then the other thing is give credit where you're due. I mean, that was the one thing is we brought the team back together and we were just, everybody was really pumped because they really felt invested in the process. Okay, so I want to talk to you a little bit about what I have learned in this experience by being associated with such amazing leaders. People I've learned a lot of lessons from, some good lessons and some bad. But I want to share with you a couple of those thoughts. But first of all, I'd love for you to tell me, you've been in this Leaders Forum for several months now. What are the big takeaways? What do you think a leader is? How do you define a leader in your world? What characteristics? Yes?
I would say a leader is someone that just goes after their dreams and shows that it's possible and that anything really is possible if you dedicate your time and your energy towards it.
Perfect, thank you. Yes?
Not just towards a specific thing, but just take every opportunity that comes your way. One of our speakers said she didn't really know what she was doing, but she said yes to the job anyway, and just kind of went where she went, and that catapulted her into other things. Mm-hmm. Our speaker last week said just to stay working. No matter what you do, just stay working.
Mm-hmm. Good. I hope you're capturing all those things, because some really resonate with you where, you know, others may not. Yes?
Someone that people can come to and have problems solved or questions answered.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yes?
I think being involved in your community.
Being involved in your community, that's great. Yes. Any others that you can think of? You don't have to say, go ahead. Yeah.
I think that it's somebody who understands that we're constantly changing as people and they're not afraid to embrace that change.
So constantly changing, not afraid to embrace the change. Good. So without saying anything, can all of you think of somebody who you admire as a leader? In your personal life, a former teacher, whoever. Can you all of you, you don't have to tell me who it is, can all of you think of someone that you define as a leader, pretty much? Okay. So can I share with you a few lessons that I've learned, things that I think are really helpful? Be a convener. So these are all the B's. Be a is what I'm going to share with you. Be a convener. Find ways to bring people together to make things better. Be collaborative. Find ways to get that middle ground. Be collaborative always. Don't always, just because you have an opinion doesn't mean it's the only option. Be open to other ideas. Be honest. I mean, I think that's one of the really big things that I've learned. You have business ethics and you have sport ethics and you have personal ethics. Be true and honest to yourself. Be committed. I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of folks. We manage over 60 committees. So if we have people that sign up and they want to get involved but they never show up, you learn a lot about people. And it's something that I have to remind myself as well and not get overcommitted. You serve on more than a few committees and you can't do it all. You can't juggle everything. Be early. And my husband, former Secret Service guy, he's early on everything. And it's been a good lesson for me to learn. It shows respect for other people's time, especially if you're interviewing for jobs. Serious. I mean, showing up late, you can't do it. You have to show up on time. Be early for your assignments. I mean, if you have a commitment, say you've got a job application and they ask you to write a paper before and it's due at 5 o'clock on Friday, don't turn it in at 4:58. Yeah, don't do that, because it just happened to me last week. So don't do that. Let's see, be consistent and dependable. If you are consistent and people see you 99% of the time consistent in some of the things that you do, when you make a mistake or if you need a break one time, they'll forgive you more likely. Be a team player. Learn to play up. Do y'all know what that means? Does that mean anything to you? Learn to play up. That means when it's the appropriate time, understand, don't be afraid of approaching people that have a higher role or position in the community or in your work environment. Play up, but then play 360 as well. Understand and try and relate to people at all the levels. You learn lots from people in that process. Be a volunteer. And one of you said that too, just to give back to the community. That's such a huge thing. You all have a generation of such great ideas. Don't be afraid to engage. Find your passion in our community. Go out and look for opportunities to engage. Engage on campus. There are a ton of things that you can do and make better for our world. And be generous. Be generous in what you do give back. Be generous with your time. Be generous with your advice. Be efficient. Find ways, if you want to create value for your future employer, find ways to do things better. So one of the things I did, I left, I was with the Salt Lake Chamber and left for 3 years when I got married. My husband was in DC and he had some assignments there. And when I came back, I knew the organization. I'd been there for many years, but I knew it was really important for me to listen and to take the time before I started changing everything. So I met with every employee and listened to what their issues were, and then together we made the decisions moving forward. And that was really helpful to me. And the listener ties into that too. Listen to your customers. I had an opportunity earlier in my career when I worked in the private sector. One day we were managing Fortune 500 accounts, and there were some problems with the other side of our business, and I was invited to go and meet with a big client, and I'd never done that before. I was really young in my career, and they were sending me, and they said, pack for 3 weeks, you've got to go save this huge account, multi-million-dollar account. And I, shaking, and had to fly into Denver, and then you have to drive for 20 million hours to get into the city, you know, And I was just panicking the whole way. But this was the greatest lesson for me, is I took a bunch of yellow pads, that was pre this, and I just listened to them. I asked them every question, I wrote down every issue, and I listened, and we were able to save the account. And I think that's such a great lesson for anybody. Take the time. And I find myself with my dual monitors at work, as people come in and interrupt me, that I'm still focusing and typing and trying to multitask. I need to put it aside and listen, because there are great things that can come from those conversations, great things for me to learn from as well. Let's see, be respectful. We talked about being respectful of time. Treat people with respect. Be there for your team. So how many of you, I don't know how Slick works, but do you work in small teams at all, where you have to work and present in some classes? Can I put you on the spot a little bit? How's that experience?
I always like those. I feel like there's always one person who becomes like the defined leader, you know, and then like everyone kind of follows suit.
Uh-huh. Do you find that there's always one person that you never know they're really going to show up with their part and you're graded on the team?
I feel like that's definitely a part of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, yeah.
I really don't like working in groups.
Really?
Yeah.
So that will be really helpful for you. Actually, this is a really good process then for you, because then you can try and pick the career that makes sense for you if that doesn't work for you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we need all of us. And some folks in teams and marketing teams, they really work well together. But it's understanding the skill set. And I'll bet the reason why you don't like it is because you always deliver and always get everything done, and some of your team members don't.
Yeah.
Okay, I knew that. I knew that. Because it's hard. You're great at it, but this is very much work life.
Yeah.
You know, you're depending on all the team players to deliver, and they don't always deliver. A couple of others: be authentic, be the best you can be. Be proactive as a leader. When there's a situation, like my flood at work, it didn't matter who had what title. The team that jumped in immediately, it was our accounting team, and started with big shovels I know, you're laughing, accounting, huh? With the big shovels, I think they just wanted to get away from their boring jobs, right? And so they were like looking for something fun to do. They're not boring. They're so critical. It's just, I'm so glad they're there, because they have that expertise. Is it? See, it's. All right. So I talked to you about the Washington, D.C. trip, and we met with Secretary Heather Wilson, who oversees the Air Force. And we asked her, if you were to give advice to those that are the youth, the future of tomorrow, what would you say? And she said this great quote. And I hope you'll write this down, because it was so inspiring to me. I saved it. Okay, she said, when asked what advice she has for the youth of today, Secretary Wilson said, find a dream that's bigger than yourself, not a dream that society has for you. Find a dream that's bigger than yourself, not a dream that society has for you. I thought that was very, very helpful. And when I was talking to my team, we were up on Capitol Hill last week, and I said to them, what advice should I share? These are folks that are freshly graduated. Yes? Secretary Heather Wilson. Go read about her. She is phenomenal. She's a great leader. But the team said these things that maybe might be helpful to you. So let's see, we're right here. Have any of you been to D.C.? Mm-hmm. Do you know DuPont Circle? Are you familiar with it? Okay, so DuPont Circle has green space here, but you can see all the exits. And if you're usually fresh to DC, what you usually do is miss your exits over and over again. How many of you have been in a roundabout where you miss them? So I'm going to try and draw a parallel for our discussion today, and that is you're at a really interesting place in your life. You're on your roundabout, and you have many options. And it's kind of scary sometimes, because you're like, if I make this decision, what if I miss another opportunity? And so you spend your time in the roundabout missing other opportunities. I would encourage you to find the best option for you now and know that you can build on it for the future. And that's one thing I wish I would have done. Instead of saying, okay, I want to be a killer whale trainer. Okay, I really did. I want to do this. I want to do all these things. But when I finally made my decision, it changed everything, because then I had a path forward. And in that decision came this opportunity to serve in operations that I would never have had I not gone down that other path. So that would be one piece of advice, to breathe and get out of your way Sometimes we are the one thing that holds ourselves back. Sorry about that. Surround yourself with good people. Recognize and give credit to others. I said this before, don't let your past define you. Personal integrity is one of your greatest treasures. Don't lose that. Show up and be present. And the one thing I say to all of our team members is writers elevate. Use this time to perfect your writing skills and your oral skills as well. That communication piece in any job will help you. And that would be just my piece of advice. I didn't know that that was a leader. I don't know that I'm a leader, but I have to lead people. No, I didn't know, but I knew that I was going to do what I wanted to do is really get a good variety. When my general, because I didn't know what I wanted to do, I really took a variety of different classes and used every opportunity for learning and asking questions of people that I admired, whether they be friends of my parents or people in my neighborhoods or whatever, my church communities. I used every opportunity I could to learn and find the pieces that started to connect. So I went to work for a broadcasting company as a receptionist after I had my 4-year degree. But I never knew that that would then lead me into other opportunities to work on Fortune 500 accounts or to record in studios or do whatever else that would lead me to do and then to here. Well, I was going to school at night, and so I was a receptionist at that time, just doing that, because I really wasn't sure of my path. Mm-hmm. And I liked the marketing part of business as I started learning more about this company that I was working for. Really liked that aspect. I liked the aspect of managing accounts and working with people and solving problems. So I'm building my skills for the future, not knowing where that final path would take me.
What really put you into your job that you have now?
So I realized I wasn't going to have the opportunity to grow where I was any further. The people above me, they weren't moving. And I needed some new opportunities, and an opportunity came to apply for the Salt Lake Chamber of Commerce. And one of the things that is appealing, I love languages, and some of the people I was going to be working with, we were going to be working with folks that had that same interest. But I was going to work with people in general and get to know the business community. I was really fascinated by how businesses ran. And so I was hired on. The crazy part is 2 weeks later, the boss, the president who had hired me, left. And there were about 26 employees at that time. People had been there for a long time. And I was asked by the board to step up into a leadership role. And it was really scary, but I did it. And that's what I would encourage you. Do something that's really hard. I mean, speaking like this is really hard for me, but you do it anyway because I committed to Whitney I would do it. It's that commitment thing. So that's part of it it's along the way. Sometimes I think the pressure that all of us, and as I speak with nieces and nephews and my daughters, is trying to know now that this is where you're going to be in 10, 15 years. And part of that is just growing as you figure out what your skill sets are, or you build when you're put in those crisis situations and your skills all of a sudden grow. Do you all know what you want to do? Have you all declared majors? Accounting? Awesome. Good. Accounting is absolutely critical. If you don't have somebody trustworthy there that knows the numbers, you can't help anybody else. That's good. So what other majors have you declared? Throw those out to me. How many accounting majors in here? How many business majors? How many marketing? Sales, engineering? Math? What else would be out there?
Kind of math,
Kind of-
computer science.
Computer science?
Finance.
Awesome. Is that what you're doing too, computer science? Okay. What are you doing? Did you raise your hand already?
Me?
Uh-huh.
I'm general contractor.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so great. What you all have just described is our community. Each one of you will contribute to our community. If we have all the same people doing the same thing, we can't make the whole community that we need. So each one of you add value in every part of our community and every part of every business. So that's good. Okay, so the Salt Lake Chamber is one.
Okay.
So I did that, and I won't tell you the years. You can figure it out because I know I don't look older than 25. But I did. You're laughing. Accounting can't laugh. Okay. So I'm just kidding. So I worked at the Salt Lake Chamber, and then I moved to DC, and I worked for an association management company. So it was a company that managed several associations. And one of them was a 25-year-old organization called the International Society for the Study of Trauma and Dissociation. So these were psychologists and psychiatrists from around the world that came together in this association to make things better in their association with their work in their industry. And I'll tell you an interesting story about that job. You saw that I love languages. So I knew that the president of this international society was from Istanbul, Turkey, and I would be meeting him in my interview along with the other psychologists and psychiatrists. So if you've ever been to a job interview, try having psychologists and psychiatrists sitting across from you as you're trying not to do anything that would distract, right? So I walked in, I knew he was from Istanbul, Turkey, and I love when I go travel to learn a few of the phrases. And I'm so glad this is recorded because I'm going to just not do this right. But I walked in, and when I saw him, I said, "Çok teşekkür ederim." "Çok teşekkür ederim." See, I don't say it right, which is thank you very much, and that was how I greeted him, but I made an effort. It was a really fun experience because I think sometimes if you can find some way to connect with people, they'll listen to you for a little bit longer. Now, I'm not saying I got the job because I said thank you in Turkish. I'm just saying that find a way to connect with people. But when I took over this particular, so I was I was VP of operations for the association management group, managing all these associations. And then they'd asked me to take on this other association of these doctors. And they were struggling. There was some infighting. There was, they had some struggles with some of the leadership, but they were some of the most fantastic people. And this was kind of their first time they had a business person helping run this organization of doctors. And it was such a rewarding experience. And we were able to really grow the organization over the 3 years that we were together. We had an amazing team around us. So that was my experience there. So that was one association, and then the Salt Lake Chamber. My husband was transferred back in 2010, and they asked me to come back and step in as the COO. So I did chamber sandwiched around this other one.
How did you like DC?
Love DC.
Did you grow up here?
Yeah, love DC. It was, but it was so fun. I mean, it was a great experience. And one thing is, because I had a good job here, when I went to DC, I was a little bit nervous because I wanted a job out there and I needed one. And one of the best pieces of advice I got was from Clark Ivory of Ivory Homes. He was on our board, and he said to me, identify a whole bunch of people you want to just go spend 15 minutes with and learn the lay of the land. So he gave me several people. So in my subject line of my email, I said Clark Ivory, so they would open it. And I said, I'm a friend of Clark Ivory's, recently married, moving to DC, want to get the lay of the land. Would you give me 15 minutes? Well, they did. So that's a piece of advice I'll share with you that was really helpful because it got me in the door, and it was my very first interview that ended up coming back and hiring me, but it took several. But I met some amazing people along the way, and I embraced that entire culture. It was so fun for me. I really enjoyed it.
It's a good way to make friends.
Absolutely, because and they're still my friends. I still use them as I plan some of the trips I do, is go out with the chamber people. Everything from Zions Bank to, we have those that are down to a part-time or one-time business. So we have everybody, and they serve in committees, they come and engage. So we have people that are starting up businesses, people who have grown their businesses with us, people who are large business, because remember, we're in all 29 counties. So we have a variety of businesses.
Okay.
Yeah, they pay into it, and what happens is, like, for a larger organization, it would be all of their employees could play. They pay the fee, but anybody can come and play with us.
Uh-huh.
So, does that help you a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Who are you working for?
I work for Goldman Sachs.
Oh, so Goldman, you're a member,
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't know it. Activities, connections, and so for you at Goldman Sachs, if you wanted to start your own business, you can come over to our Women's Business Center. They can help you get set up at no cost. They can show you how to set up a work plan, do whatever else you want to do. In our community, we're so entrepreneurial. There are a lot of free services that are available for you as well. Sure, yeah, slchamber.com is our website, and then the Women's Business Center is listed in there. My name and contacts there too if you need any help. And you had a question too?
Do you guys do like grants for businesses?
So the Women's Business Center has some grants. They're doing, what's that called? Like a Shark Tank pitch pitch thing where they're doing that in the next little bit. So they've got grants that are out there and available. But what we can do is help you find grants.
Okay.
Especially for women-owned businesses, there's a ton out there that will help you get started. We have interns. We have a team up there on the hill of 2 interns, 2 full-time coordinators, and a VP of public policy, and a VP of government relations that are all up on the hill. They were up there till about 10 last night. They'll be in committee meetings, they'll be testifying, whatever they need to do. And all year long, we're working with the legislature. They do, but we're working with them on national issues as well. So we have really good relationships with them. Yeah, and we're fortunate. Yes. Well, right now, one of our biggest issues for most businesses is the workforce. Making sure that we keep you and not have you think that you can't be here, you can't find the right job here. So that's really important to me. The whole education initiative, that matters to all of us because it's the future. It's the people that I employ every day. So we need all of you coming out of your, whether it be college or university experience, more prepared to work in the workplace. And I think on a more micro, that I'm doing everything every day to build the team that's around me. So I'm looking at opportunities. I love it when I see growth and when I see team members that just take off. And when you see that desire in them, it's so fun to be able to help nurture that. So I love the team that I work with. I would say desire. So the ultimate trait I would look for would be somebody who has the desire and the willingness to do whatever it takes and to see things and be able to step in and help. Thank you. Thanks for being with me.